everybody identifies with what they do versus who they are. Because in fact, that's what your purpose is. It's not about what you do, it's about who you are.
Well, welcome to Everyday Great, people. Today, I've got a good friend on, and a guy who has helped me a lot in terms of what I'm doing, kind of getting my thinking straight and getting my path going forward. Today, my guest, Eric Mech. He is the head coach at the Purpose Company. He is helping people find their purpose, and he has a history, a background in sales, in motivating people. He's a keynote speaker, and today he's helping other people find what they want to do and live their purpose. Great day, everyone. I'm Mike Pawlawski, former world champion quarterback, serial entrepreneur, and award-winning TV producer and host. I've lived a life dedicated to mastery through performance and mindset integration. Each week, I'll bring you the insights, strategies, and stories from some of the world's top performers to help you unlock your greatness. Whether you're an athlete aiming for the top or an executive driving your team to victory, this is where you learn how to train your greatness to become an everyday great. Now let's get after it. So, my friend, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. It's great to be here and bring some value to your audience for sure, and hopefully help them get clarity on their purpose.
I love that. So, we're diving in with purpose, right? And your hat says purpose, and work for the Purpose Company. So, talk to me about what purpose is and what that means.
Yeah, it's funny. I think a lot of us stew on that word purpose, and we sit there and we wonder, well, what is my purpose, or what's the purpose of this or that? And I think we use it very flippantly, but in fact, there's a bigger meaning to it, and a deeper core to it that I don't think many of us don't look at it that way. We just roll through life. But in fact, when I came to the Purpose Company in 2022, I really got a better understanding what purpose really meant from Brian Boucher, the founder of the Purpose Company. And he said he redefined the word purpose as the best of what you have to offer others. And so it really stuck with me that it isn't about me. It isn't about what I do, but more importantly about how I can help others. So I learned from him too that it's not about you. It's about who can you impact, and who can you help with the best of what you have, and what is that? And I think a lot of people don't get clarity on it. They just go through life and roll through it and just do what they're told to do, or just live life as it's coming towards them.
Yeah. So the best of what you have, right? That's the interesting point, is that what is the best of what you have? How can somebody define the best of what they have? People are looking for that all the time, right? They're looking for a place. They're looking for a fit. They're looking for things that help them improve their life. And oftentimes we doubt ourselves. People all the time doubt themselves. I get introduced as a world champion quarterback all the time. I get introduced as soon to be an author, right? I get introduced as a keynote speaker all the time. But you don't always feel like that in everyday life. Oftentimes you feel smaller. Oftentimes you don't feel up to that task. And a lot of people feel that. So what does that mean, the best of what you have? How can people define that?
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I love that what you said about being a keynote speaker and a football player and all of that. And in all that we do, we just, it's sad to know this, but everybody identifies with what they do versus who they are. Because in fact, that's what your purpose is. It's not about what you do. It's about who you are. Because your purpose goes with you. It doesn't leave you. It doesn't stay somewhere. And I've done some research myself as people that retire, 20% of them go into depression. They go into depression because they were so attached to what they did versus who they really are. And they never took the time to really discover that. And so it's very vital that you do that. And there's 4 factors that go into figuring out your purpose. One is your origin story. What is that? Where did that come from? How did my decision-making process come about? And that's what origin story is all about. Because there's an event or series of events that helped establish your decision-making process. When somewhere between the ages 5 and 18, an event or a series of events happened to you that did that. And there's 5 archetypes that people fall into. That's one is either a rejection overcomer, 2 is a trauma overcomer, 3 is a loss overcomer, 4 is a betrayal overcomer, or 5 is a failure overcomer. So there's something in there that created that, and how you make your decisions. And how you make your decisions is super important, right? But once you discover that, and I think that's the most important piece, of understanding why you make the decisions you make. Where did that come from? And as I did that, I discovered I was a rejection overcomer. I felt like maybe I didn't measure up. I didn't stand up to what maybe my parents expected me to be, or my teachers or my coaches or whatever that is. But what about who I am? And that never got looked at. And so understanding if I was rejected, in that there's a healthy state and an unhealthy state. And I'll just talk about that for a second. But being that healthy state is adaptability, because you had to learn to adapt. If you were going to be rejected here and take a no there, you had to learn to go around it and figure out a yes, or you had to go around it to get your way. You had to ask certain questions certain ways so that you didn't get rejected. Or the unhealthy state is a default decision making. And as a rejection overcomer, you're a pleaser. So if you find yourself to be a pleaser and you make pleasing comments, or you say stuff like, hey, I'm sorry, but maybe you didn't need to say sorry about it, that's because you're a rejection overcomer. When you realize that, you can alter that default decision making into design decision making and become adaptable and understand that. And that, when I discovered that, that changed everything in my life. That changed how I handle my relationships with close family, with my loved ones, with my friends, with coworkers. It changed everything. And so that's a piece of that, in understanding your purpose. The next one is your natural advantage. What is it that you're naturally gifted at that others say, wow, you're so good at that? And you're like, and they ask you how, and you're like, I don't know, I just do it. But that's your natural giftedness. What is that? What is that? And we put words to those things, like, are you a recruiter? Are you a builder? Are you a truth teller? What is it that you really are? And digging deep into that. And then your acquired skills. What are the skills that you've acquired over the years, whether they be experientially or empirically? So oftentimes, most of our skills are done through experience, but some are done through empirically. You go to college, you learn these things, you read books, those are the things that you learn empirically, and those are all good. But I often think that experience is the best teacher of all, right? The last one is then your pull passion. Passion alone cannot stand there, and you can't live on passion. We hear a lot of people that come to us and say, I'm super passionate about people. I just want to help people. Well, that's great, but what do you want to help them with? What is it you want to help them with? And so there's got to be something that pulls you in. Who pulls you in, or what pulls you in? If you look up the definition of passion, it means a barely controllable emotion. Well, you can't live on a barely controllable emotion. That just comes and goes, right? I'm passionate about it, but it comes and goes. The fact is, purpose is the center of that. And so those four together create the purpose factor. It's a book by Brian and Gabrielle Boucher called The Purpose Factor. And what in there, they also talk about permission. And I've discovered that on myself even further and done more research, that permission is just something we do. We're told to, and by all means, I think school is great and people need to go to school to get a good education. But in fact, if they don't, they can get labeled as, well, they're not going to school. I think that's turning. I think that's changing now, in that experience is probably the best tool, best educational piece you can get. But I've learned that permission is the thing that holds us back from our authenticity. We're told to go to school. We're told to graduate. We're told to get a good job, then get married, then have kids, then get a house, then get a bigger house, a nice car, a bigger car, and keep going, get that title, get to the top, and then get there and hang there. And then you have grandkids, and then you retire. And then what? There's no more. But what if we had clarity in our purpose? What if we understood who we were and who we were meant to serve? That wouldn't have to end. It doesn't need to end. And so I'm writing a book, and it'll be coming out here the beginning of next year, called Permission, Stop Waiting and Start Winning. I think often we sit there and we're just waiting on permission. And in fact, our purpose is our permission. We don't need permission to live at our purpose. And I've redefined the word permission as the unnecessary validation from our peers, our own thoughts, and societal norms.
I like that. And you talk about it. I know in the book, you and I have talked about it, how addicted people get to permission. How do we get addicted to permission? Talk about that.
Yeah, that's a great topic. Addiction happens over a course of period of time, right? People get addicted to drugs, alcohol, all those things. We hear that often. And when I've talked about being addicted to permission, people are like, well, what do you mean? How can that be? But in fact, this all stemmed back to our childhood-like state. And our childhood-like state, like when we were in school, it was, can I get permission to go to the bathroom? Can I get permission to leave class? At home, Mom, is it okay if I go over to my friend's house? Hey, can I cross the street? And when I've done my research on it, I have found that people did that because it was a safety thing. It was all about safety. Is it okay to do those things? And then there became a point in it went into our adulthood, and we're wondering, well, is it okay if I go get this job? Is it okay if I buy this house? Is it okay? We're asking all these questions, and in fact, we don't need that permission. But we're addicted to it because it stemmed from our childhood-like state. It wasn't our fault. It was just something we did. But we have to understand and identify, is it really permission or is it purpose? And in fact, when you live on purpose, you don't need to ask those questions. You're leading with your heart and your authenticity. And I think it's super important. And I really want to help people break their addiction to permission. I have a framework to help them with that.
Well, we'll talk about that framework in a second. I actually love that point about the childhood-like state. I write about it in my book because you think about this. Other animals, when they're born, a baby giraffe is born, it pops out of the womb, and mom starts kicking it in the head until it stands up and it can walk and run. Okay, it gets it up, it gets it moving, so that pretty quickly, those young animals are able to survive on their own. Now, they'll still nurse for a year, maybe 2 years, and other animals are similar. They'll be in that 1 to 2 year range. Puppies are pretty good to go by the time that they're 6 months old, right? Human beings, we're dependent on our parents, on our mothers especially, until we're about 7 years old, that we can't really be autonomous until then. And we're not really mature enough until we get into our late teens. And so as a result, we're taught to listen to that parent. We're taught that we don't want to offend that parent, that we want to do the things that get rewards from that parent rather than putting ourselves out where we might lose that support from that parent. And so when you talk about permission, that's built into it. It's the biology of humans. We have big brains. We can predict. Our minds work to create scenarios, which is why we've been able to thrive and create incredible things on this earth and be the only animal that can do it. However, we also have a lot longer gestation period. We have a lot longer period of immaturity, of being dependent on our parents. And so you are literally addicted to permission because it means survival for you as a kid. But at some point, you're supposed to get independent. And here's where the biology ties together, and I love this, is that people love to connect. You're talking about purpose, the best of what you have to help others. When we connect and help others, that same biology that made us dependent as a kid now fulfills us because we are helping other people. And that's the biology. That connection is so important. This is where, we're both talking about our books here today, but this is part of my book when I talk about connection. And Everyday Great, by the way, if you want to get on our email list, it's going to be launching in October. Text GREAT to 55444, and we will get on my list. So we can get you a copy of that book when it comes out. Make sure that you're notified of it when you come out. There will be giveaways. There'll be other stuff up on that list. So you want to get on there, just GREAT 55444, and you'll get on the list. But we talk about the biology. We talk about that's where those connect with that purpose to that permission, everything coming together. So I love your premise on that front, Eric.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I just think so many people are, and they don't know how to get out of it, right? It's kind of like people that are addicted to alcohol or drugs or anything like that. They just don't know how to get out of it. And you need the tools to get out of it, but it takes an army. It takes an army, and you need to be aware of it. And I just don't think people are aware of it. They don't think of it that way. And when I've had the conversations about it, they're like, that makes total sense. That's who I am. I just do it. Well, yeah, of course you do, because you've always done it that way. But it's time to change, because that's where your authenticity comes out. That's where you break that cycle. And that's what I did. And it set me free. Talk about it. Yeah, talk about how you got there. How did you break the cycle? Where were you at in your life? What happened with you that you got there? Yeah. So I started off in the automotive world back in oh boy, I'm going to age myself here, but I started back in 1998, and I started there just simply because of I can see it now of who I was. And in that realm, you didn't need a college degree to sell cars. You just need a college degree and being able to talk to people. And so I started there as a salesperson, worked my way up to become a managing business partner in 3 franchise dealerships. And it was all because I believed, and I was told, you work hard, you stay there, you stay loyal, you never leave, you just keep doing it. And when it gets tough, you just keep staying there, and you just keep doing those things. And as a matter of fact, make all the money you can, climb the ladder, get to the top, get the title. And so that's what I was doing. I was chasing all of that. And yet it afforded me many great things in my life, but it also afforded the fact that I lost time with my kids. I lost a lot of time because I was spending a lot of time at the dealership and being a managing business partner. That's what you do. And it was in July of 2022. I had been there for 24 years, and I came to a point where I was not fulfilled anymore. I was feeling empty. I probably didn't understand necessarily what was going on a ton. But I became more scared to stay than go. I had this conversation with my father. I remember my dad telling me this: why would you leave, son? You are crazy. You will make more money than God. You are nuts. You have everything. And I'm like, but I don't. I got those, but then what? What's next? There was no more to go after on that. So I decided to leave the automotive world. Even my partners were saying, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know, but I'm going to leave, and it's okay. I love you guys. We had a great relationship, but it was time. My season was over. That season was done. And so I decided to take a couple months off, and I did. And I want to reset, refocus and relearn. And that's what I did. I spent time with my boys, really valued that time with them. I couldn't get back the other time, but I sure could make the most of what I had in front of me. And I did. We were able to go hunting and fishing and doing all the things that dads do with their kids. And so it was great. But then in October, it was time for me to get back. I had this sense that I need to get back after it. And I had an idea in my head that I wanted to do in the dealership world, and that was be the trainer for all of our stores. And I had a program that I wanted to come out with and teach and work with. And so I was on Facebook, and I found the Purpose Company. Purpose Company came up in my feed. Maybe, who knows, if I said the word purpose, it probably popped up. These days how it works. So what is my purpose? And so funny, it popped up in my feed, and I really felt like it was authentic, and it spoke my language when they were talking about purpose. I had this deeper desire to understand, what is my purpose? And I find that often when I talk to clients, I don't even know my purpose. And so I was there, and I signed up with the company, the Purpose Mastery Community. And I think it was my second group coaching call I was on. I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to do what they're doing. That looks great. They're fulfilling. It looks fulfilling. They're helping people. They're helping people get wins, whether it be financially, emotionally, whatever. And so I was helping them, I came in as a client, and I was ready to unroll my program, the Real Coach Approach, which Real Coach Approach, the real stood for relationships, equipping them, attitude, and leadership. And I let out my program. And just before I did that, I had a conversation with the co-founder, Gabrielle, about coming on their team. And it was a great conversation. And lo and behold, I came on the team in February of 2023. Now, mind you, I had not done a ton of what I thought coaching or consulting or even speaking, but in fact, I did. I coached others to, rise up and become owners in those stores. I consulted with my business partners on how we can make the business better. I spoke in front of our staff at our Christmas parties and everything. So in fact, I did do those things. But it wasn't, and I've heard them say this, it wasn't about what I did. They were looking at more of who I was. And I found a bigger, deeper respect for them because of that. And so I came on board in February of 2023. And in July of 23 last year, she just put me on as a full-time coach in the organization. I came in as a salesperson and was terrible at it. But then I was more of a coach. That's what I was. I just have this deeper desire to love on people, love them where they're at. And I have been through enough experience to know you can do more than you think you can do. And I just wanted to be that guy to instill belief in others and show them that they can do more than they think they can do. But I really got clarity on that. And I really realized, man, this whole time I was living on permission. Like, I was chasing title, I was chasing money, I was chasing status. But that left me unfulfilled because it was about me. It wasn't about others. And purpose is about the best of what you have to offer others, not you. And so that's when I really realized, oh, now this is my purpose. Now I'm in the best place I could ever imagine.
I love that. It's a great story. I've heard it before. So, I'm familiar with it, but for my viewers at home or listeners at home, I just love that story because it talks about kind of finding your way, which so many of us are trying to do this day and age. You get to a point where, I've had 3 or 4 career switches myself where you're trying to find a place for yourself, where you're trying to find that next step. I think oftentimes it takes that resistance in life for people to find that inflection point, to push through, to do something else, to do something bigger, more purposeful. And the word purpose is thrown around a ton, but I love how both Brian and Gab have consolidated it down to a strict definition, right? With guidelines, because you can end up searching the web forever, trying to find purpose, trying to figure out what it is that you want to do. But you need to define things first. You need to have an understanding of what it is that you're trying to do to find yourself in it, right? And so I love that. I love your story. I think it's fantastic. And it gets back to that connection piece. Humans are made to connect. Biologically, we have the architecture that we're made to connect. And the ability to connect and to help others is a huge beneficial thing. It's why I do what I do. It's why I've written my book. It's why I love to coach. It's why I keynote speak, because I love seeing that spark in other people. You can just had a great fly fishing retreat last weekend, as a matter of fact, with college football Hall of Fame legend Urban Meyer. And we were talking about his checklist of things that he needed for team players to be great. First one's competitive spirit, right? That's up there, bullet point, bold, the whole 9 yards. That has to be the first thing. And so that was a huge piece of it. Adaptability was another piece of it. But also, as part of that, these guys have to be team players. They have to get along within a group. They have to be able to do things for other people. They want it for themselves. They want it bad for themselves, but they also have to be able to function in that team culture. And Urban was able to build incredible team culture based on that biology. And when you can find that, there is a magic to it, that when players come together, when you build culture in the right place, when you're all living for your purpose, it creates something great. And that's how we won our championship in 1999 in the Arena Football League. We had a great head coach in Mike Daly who was able to put that together for us. And by the way, all these stories are in the book. So you guys text GREAT to 55444 and you can get on the list for the book when it's coming out. But talk to me about what you're doing now and how other people can get a hold of you.
Yeah. I love your book too. Every day great. That's my philosophy. Every day is a great day. I mean it is, and it's how you look at it. Every day is a great day, and I'm excited to read the book myself and find out more. But that's so true. Yeah. And now as a full-time coach, a head coach of the Purpose Company, it is so fulfilling to help others find and get clarity on their purpose and then step into their purpose and do the things they've always wanted to do it and find success in it. Now, that's not only financially, but emotionally, fulfillment. And, we get people, I get grown men on my calls crying because they finally discovered their purpose and now their marriages are better and their relationship with their kids are better and everything. But being the head coach of the Purpose Company, we have different communities. We have the Purpose Mastery community you can be a part of. We'd love to have you there, where we help you and coach you on how to get clarity on your purpose, We have group coaching calls you can come to and be with like-minded people that just want to be better and make every day great. And then we also have our mastermind community where like-minded people like Mike here and others that want to just take it to the next level, that have achieved great success in their careers or in their life, but are just ready for more and want to do more and want to work closer with us and get more details of how to do that. And accountability. That's my favorite thing, is I love holding people accountable to every little thing because we need it. We all need it. We all need accountability. It's super important. And accountability isn't about policing. It's about releasing you. And so it's not about policing you and telling you what to do. It's about releasing you to be the best of who you can be. And so that's the way I look at it. And so you guys can connect with me on LinkedIn. Please look me up, Eric Mech, M-E-C-H. Connect with me there. You can email me at eric@purposecompany.co, not com, co, and reach out to me if you want to just even have a conversation. What does this look like? How to, to talk about it further. I really have a lot of curiosity in getting to know others. So moreover, I'd love just to have a conversation and get to know you and see what else, how can I add value to you more importantly. That's the most important part. So never think that it's not possible, because everything's possible. You just got to put your mind to it and do it. I never thought I would be here, but here I am because I just kept doing it, because I kept being who I was and didn't focus so much on what I did.
And that is so key, is caring about others, right? Focusing on what you do, how you can help others, getting back to the definition of purpose that you brought here today from Brian and Gab O'Shea. But bringing that purpose into your life is what creates the fulfillment. How can you not only help yourself, because obviously you have to help yourself, it can't be entirely selfless all the time, but you also help others. And when you find that perfect combination of personal reward along with emotional fulfillment reward out there, that's when you know that you're living your purpose. And it brings us back full circle here to the conversation. I appreciate you coming on here today, brother. It has been fantastic having you. Anything you want to leave the audience with here before we go?
Yeah, I would just tell you, if one dream, just as John Maxwell said, I was just at an event with him, if one of your dreams goes to die, dream again and attach yourself to those that dream bigger, because that's where it comes into play. So get out there and get clarity on your purpose. I'm so passionate about that, and break that permission that you don't need. It's super important. And if you're ever looking for a keynote speaker for your next event, man, I will love to come in there, bring the energy, light up a room, and just bring a lot of love in there. And I really want to just help others get clarity on the purpose and break that permission. So yeah, reach out to me either via email or connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on Facebook. Don't be shy. Let's just have conversation.
I love that. Thank you for coming on here today, brother. It's a great conversation for everybody at home. Finding your purpose, living your purpose, right? And doing the things that take you down that road towards fulfillment. So essential for everything that you do in everyday life. And it's what makes a great life in the end. And again, if you want to get on the list for my book, Everyday Great, coming out in October, text GREAT to 55444. It's been awesome having you guys here today. Eric, it's always awesome having you on, and always awesome talking to you. Don't forget, what you do every day is going to make for the greatness in your life. It's going to make the difference between whether your life is fulfilling or not. So do great things every single day. It's not one big event. It's not one big push. It's every single day doing the little things great. And that's how you become an everyday great. I'll talk to you guys later.